We're about to get started with our Meet a Farmer program. So if you are an Arrow of Light Scout, you definitely want to be here. If you are not an Arrow of Light Scout, you are still welcome to hang out and learn with us. That's up to y'all. But I want to introduce Tyler and Steve from Western Kentucky Aquaponics.
4 to 5 months before we actually had enough bacteria to efficiently get that turnover. So when we first started, we started out with about 200 fish. The first couple months, we had kind of this big spike of ammonia when we were testing our water, and then we had fish die. Unfortunately, we thought we were failing, but again, we had a brand new system. And then after another period of about 6 weeks, then the ammonia level started to drop, and then we saw a spike in the nitrite, and again had some more fish die off. And then after about another 6 weeks, we finally see that spike in the nitrate, and then the levels of ammonia and nitrite started to fall, and that water then is circulated into these deep water rafts, and that's where the plants take up the nutrients and we get our growth. So aquaponics, as I mentioned before, is not new. This is kind of a depiction of the gardens of Babylonia. So the concept has been around actually for thousands of years, but we work very closely with Kentucky Proud and also with the Kentucky State University. They have a division or a Department of Aquaponics, and we also work with the Department of Agriculture. And there's been probably in the last 10 years kind of a big interest and a big surge in the number of aquaponics producers in the state of Kentucky, and it's been exciting because we were one of the first on the western end of the state, and it's been an exciting journey to be able to get that growth and kind of be a pioneer, so to speak. Some other facts about aquaponics: that traditional soil agriculture uses 20 times the amount of water. When you look at our system, we have 19,000 gallons of water within the system. And you would say, oh my goodness, what about our water bill? Well, our water bill for the greenhouse is actually cheaper than the water bill for our house. So we use more water in our own homes. We lose about 1% a day from evaporation, and then so we'll add a small volume of water each day.
Like today, you're gonna do it again?
Yep. We add. Tyler is our operations manager, and he goes to that greenhouse every day. It's
before bed.
Before bed. Yep, absolutely.
Even after lunch too.
We break things up. So yeah, I mean we can talk about that. Kind of a typical day in the life of aquaponics farming. Day starts by first thing that we do is we feed our fish. And the interesting thing with aquaponics, the only produce in a water-based system, you actually have to input your fertilizer into your water source to circulate that out. We don't have to do any of that because the fish take care of that. And so the input costs are much less compared to a hydroponic system. And then typically what we'll do, depending on the orders that we have for that given day, we'll go ahead and do our harvest, and then do those deliveries, and then the rest of the day it's always a mix of seeding. We start, I don't know, do we have a picture of the seed tray?
Yeah, in here somewhere.
So the substrate that we use, that's okay. The substrate that we use, are y'all, anyone familiar with rock wool? Have you ever heard of that term? So rock wool is something that's traditionally used. We use a product called Hydroton. Is it not Hydroton? Is, yeah, Horticube. It's a sponge-like substrate that's very similar to rock wool, but it's much less expensive, and then we actually can get more plugs into a traditional seeding tray. So the seed is put into the Horticube. We generally get germination in about 24 to 48 hours on lettuce varieties. Other plants may take a little bit longer. When we start kale, for example, kale might take 3 to 4 days before we actually get germination. From seed to harvest on a lettuce variety, you're looking at about 30 days. And so the one advantage in a greenhouse, it's controlled environment agriculture. And so if you look at a package from a plant, you might see on the package 52 days for a certain variety of lettuce, but that is gauged on traditional soil agriculture. So we can actually speed that up in a greenhouse setting. And that's a picture of when we're in full production. We're also a member of Kentucky Proud. Kentucky Proud, my wife Tammy, she's really worked very diligently and has also worked with different organizations in different states. And I can tell you that comparing, we talk to different aquaponics producers and growers from different states, and Kentucky Proud is a phenomenal organization. If y'all have had any interaction with them, Kentucky is a very, very strong state from the standpoint of supporting its ag producers. And that's a picture of some of the Nile tilapia, and you'll see some of the color difference in here. The lighter versus the darker, it's just a genetic trait. So it'd be like a black lab and a yellow lab. All that is an allele, a genetic allele for color expression. One of the downsides of aquaponics or any type of greenhouse production is you've got all of this upfront cost. Because you have to buy and build the greenhouse, and then we had to build the aquaponics system. So you have to front all of this capital. And when we were in the process of almost getting started, the plans called for a generator. Well, as you know, generators aren't cheap, and we're debating, should or should we not, go with this big expense. But I'll tell you that that generator saved our operation within a month after we had it. In Draftonville, after we started, because of our stocking density, if we lose our blowers, the aerators, we only have 20 minutes before the fish die because of the consumption of oxygen out of the tanks. And so whatever happened, just out of the blue, there wasn't a storm, there wasn't a car accident, for whatever reason the power went out. and we lost power for 90 minutes. Well, the generator kicked on, and it kept our blowers going, and so that investment, you know, saved our operation. So we're big fans of generators. and this is a picture of a lettuce plant in one of the rafts. So this is the substrate that we use to create the root system. So the plant sits in this PVC type, or it's a bead foam, kind of styrofoam basically, and then that hole is open through the entire depth of the board. That plug sits into that hole and then touches the water, and then we have aerators in the water to oxygenate the root system, and then that encourages root growth down into the water. And that's a variety of lettuce that we grow. That's probably our number one, number two product that we produce is it's called a butterhead lettuce, and it was a variety that was developed specifically for hydroponic growing, and it does really well in our system. That's another picture at night. We had some beehives, but unfortunately our hives have died out, and these are our social media sites and our website.